church. And guess what? I met him at a quartet singing.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Our quartet singing. They was singing, I think the Urban Brothers was singing at Pleasant Grove that Saturday night. And he was there. And I just ought not have had been there.
Oh, well, you know you wouldn't have had us now.
Ay, Claire, yeah, but at church. But you know, a long time ago, everybody went to church. And now, you can. I bet it's not enough for young men in the church to count on one hand. I tell you, it's. But back a long time ago, everybody went to church. Who was I talking to? Somebody I was talking to, and he knew him, and he came up, and they started talking, and then he started talking to me. Then the next Sunday he was eyeballing. And then he came up and he talked some more. And then this kept on and it just got closer and closer, closer and closer.
Go, Danny.
Oh, and then we was married for 43 years.
Well, there was a lot in between now.
Oh,
Let's talk about
married
some
for
of the things in between.
43
We started talking.
years.
We've been married 43 years. Let's talk about it.
Well, there was good times and bad times,
We went from
ups and downs. Oh Lord, we had our share.
we went from we was talking in the quartet to we've been married 43 years.
Well, you asked me how did we get together? We started talking at church. And then I told you we got closer and closer and closer.
And good stuff.
And then
And mama mess.
we got so close we stayed together for 43 years. I didn't say too much because she was crazy about my husband. She loved him to death, like her son. So, but Daddy said, well, I tell you one thing. You better treat her right. If you don't, you know where you got her. Ay, Claire, but I never did leave. I used to laugh and tell him all the time. I say, you know what? I say, sometimes I can't stand Tim. He make me sick. I said, but I can't leave him because I'm at home. And he won't leave me. So I guess we just stuck. And then there was one or two times I got real mad at him. And I go out to Mama's house. And I spend the night. He come out there and spend the night too. So I said, oh Lord. I just might as well have to go on back home. Ain't nothing going, nothing here. I said, I'm at home, so I just stay at home. Because they lived out there. Yeah. Oh, no, we didn't. Wasn't no leaving. When he wasn't going nowhere, and I wasn't going nowhere. So we just stuck it out.
Through it all, there were still many, many good times, filled with colorful stories, personalities, and people.
Well, he was a good old fella. I tell you what, the only thing I know he taught me one time, he told me, he said, son, you don't trust nobody. And so I didn't pay too much attention at that particular time, see. But later on, we was always went to the creek, and we swim. It was a dam, dam left a branch and made a creek out of it. But anyway, I'd stand up on the bank, and he'd be down in the water, and he'd put his hand up and say, jump, son, and I would dive down in his arms, see. And later on, we were sharecroppers, see, and we raised peanuts and all like that. And when you raise peanuts, you pull them up in a bunch like they're on a bunch, and you throw them up on top of the barn, tin top barn, and you let them lay there till they dry out, the peanuts dry out, because you can't bag them while they're green, they'll rot. They dry out, and then you take them down, and you peel them off of the old stock they're on, and then put them somewhere to dry. Well, you see, that afternoon when I was down there, when he told me, son, you can't trust nobody. And then we went on, and the next week is when we were picking cotton in the cotton field, see. And so when we finished picking the cotton, we went up to there, and we had peanuts planted in the cotton, you know. We'd pull them up, you know, carry them up there, and throw them up on the barn shed and let them dry before we peel them off. So we throw them up there and we let them dry. Well, it was, you know, about, I'd say 6 or 7 days later, see. We usually take them down, take them in the house, and at night, you know, pick them, you know, separate the peanuts from the bunch, see. And so when we come up through when we were down there picking cotton, everybody was picking cotton. And, you know, they were picking for a sharecropper. And everybody had their own little pile, see. And so when the man come by the way, it'd be a man with a pencil and a book, and the man that's weighing them, see. You know, 2 men holding up a long pole with a pair of skis, and that's a form of scale. Okay. And they weigh everybody's little pile. And the man had everybody's name. That's the only time we got any money for what we done. Everybody's name on a little book, see. And every time he'd pick up somebody's pile, he'd put how much it weighed and how much they were going to be paid for that. And while he was doing that, my daddy, you know, he wasn't in that, you know, train station, but he was standing out there, and every time the man look at the scale, my daddy was looking at the scales too. And every time he put it on the book, my daddy was right there to see if he put it in the right book. So when we finished and started up to the house, I said, Daddy, it looked like you didn't trust the man. And he told me, he said, son, you don't trust nobody. I said, yes, sir, Daddy. So it was about 3 days later when those peanuts, you know, had done dried on top of the house, and we come up from the field, we come up there, and he had a basket sitting down there. And he told me, get up there and throw them down, son. So I climbed up a ladder, went out a hole, and got on top of the barn, and was throwing them peanuts down to him. And he was putting them in the basket, you know, so we could take them in the house and gather them all. And so whenever he finished, he stood down there and he says, jump, son. And I dived down to him and he stepped over the side.
Oh, no.
I hit the ground, face full of dirt and everything like that. And I said, Dad. He said, I told you, son, you can't trust nobody.
I remember once, my father used to be plowing, and my father was a tough man. He'd be plowing barefooted. It didn't make any difference to him. And one day he used to be plowing, and he'd plow for a black snake. You know, they'd be right on the side. If he saw one, he'd catch him, and he'd put him in his shirt pocket and fasten the pocket down. So, but he'd put him in the barn, in the crib. For these kids don't know what that is. That's the place you put all your corn, the crib. And he put the snake in there because they would eat the rats, keep the rats eating up the corn. So he put the snakes in the crib. So then he would see one laying out there, and he'd reach and grab him by the tail and pop his head off. And he'd just sling him and pop the head off the snake. So I saw how he was doing, and I kept telling him I want to do it. And he kept saying, you wait a while, I'll show you. And I kept telling him I want to pop the snake head off. He said, after a while, he saw a snake laying, a black snake, and we were plowing. He stopped. He said, come here. I went there. He said, that tail right there? I said, yeah. He said, that's a black snake. He said, just grab his tail and swing it over there and pop it, and his head will fly off. I grabbed that doggone snake tail, I slung it over there, and popped that snake wrapped around my neck. And when it wrapped around my neck, I just went out, fainted. I had a spasm. So he had to pick me up and carry me to the house. When he got to the house, my mama saw it, and my mama got mad. She was in there just crying. Joe, what you do to him? And Daddy told me the snake wrapped around his neck, and she started hollering, and he would have died laughing. And my mom was saying, well, what did you laughing about? You done might not kill him? She said, I didn't tell him to wrap the snake around his neck. He threw him out there, the snake wrapped around his neck. He would have died laughing. And my mama was mad. So they had to take me to the doctor. So when they took me to the doctor and I come back, and I still was nervous like, but I don't mess with a snake right now. You don't see nobody messing with me with a snake. Back in them days, they used to raise a whole lot of stuff, corn and tomatoes and watermelon, and they'd take them up the gas station to sell. I remember one time, my dad had a whole lot of watermelon and cantaloupes, peas, and corn and everything to peddle. So Uncle John was staying with us then. So he didn't like to work. Uncle John didn't care about doing no work. Now that's one thing about it, he didn't believe in that working. So when my daddy get ready to sell all this stuff, so my dad had a car, one of them old top kind of cars. So Uncle John said he would take the stuff to town to sell. So he got that old car full of stuff, and he got me and Bob to go with him to town to sell it. So he went to a place called Creamerton. And Creamerton lived up on a mountain up on a little mountain. So he said, we go up here on the mountain. He went around, and the road just go around and around like that. And we went up on that mountain. By the time we got up there next to the top, he was driving slow, and he went to change gear, the old car cut off. When the car cut off, he said, oh my God, we out of gas. And it was sat there holding the brakes on it. He said, well, I'm gonna have to let it back down to the bottom of the hill, and then I can walk and get some gas. He started letting that car back down the hill, and we got to one of them curves, that car backed off the road and cut about 4 somersets with me, him, and Bob in it. And when it hit the ground down there, it was setting up. So he got hurt. He got his legs hurt. Something else, I don't know. I don't know if me and Bob got hurt or not. We were young. So when they got in touch with my daddy, he came over there, and the car was setting up, so he cranked it up. And the old car, see, when the car cut 4 somersets, it last thing was setting up straight then. And my daddy cranked the old car up, and it run. So he drove the car home, and it still wasn't out of gas. But Uncle John said it was out of gas. And on that hill, there was blackberries, plums, peaches, apples, and watermelon all over that hill when they come out of that car. People was walking around there picking them up, eating them. Some people picking them up, putting them in a little bag, taking them home with them.
Well, he was a good man, I can say. But he liked to hunt. He liked to hunt. He believed in hunting. He had a good dog, possum dog. he liked it that. He had the best.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, King, old King. Oh, he was the best. King. Yes, old King treat a possum. That Mr. Mike Kennett had good dogs. He had the best of dogs. And he'd been running a possum, and he couldn't trim. He couldn't trim for nothing. He had a good dog, but he couldn't trim. Pa told him, said, I'll take old King, so I'll put him up. He took old King down there, went too far from Oak Ridge there, down there near the bridge on that creek, Crowder Creek. And this possum was smart. What he'd do, here's an old barbed wire there. What he'd do, he'd go to the tree, and he wouldn't go up the tree. He'd go and get on the wire and walk the wire away from the tree. And that's how them dogs, they know he went up, and Mr. Mike's dog would just stop there and stay at that tree, and he wasn't there. And they couldn't trail him off nowhere. You see, even the dog, usually, if he on the ground, they'll strike where he went on, but he couldn't do that, and they didn't know how to do it like King. So King went there, that tree opened a couple of times, and he quit. Then he got back on the tree the second time and smelled off on the wire, where it leaving from the tree. Smelled on this side of it. That dog, he smelled it. So he opened up. Then he went on. He's running outside the ground, snuffing for him on the ground. He checking if he hit the ground and move. And if he didn't hit the ground, he'd raise up and get back on the wall.
Oh, wow.
He opened again. And he'd run him till he went to another place and treed him. That's why they couldn't tree him, you know. So he had the best. The house we grew up in, well, we grew up at the Stanton place, and the house we grew up in, that's where my mama run the store at. She had a room, had a different place in there for the store. And so I was a little old fella, and she sold drinks, and I went in there, and I got me a drink. And I come back and asked my daddy, see, I couldn't open it. My daddy kept one of them little things on his, you know, that you could open things with on the side of his breeches. And I took it to him. He opened it, and I reckon he kind of thought they didn't give it to me. And so he looked around, and he witnessed a trick on me. His mama would have been. Mama was And so Mama found out I had got that drink and didn't ask for it, and she tore me up. She tore me up. Yeah, he done open it for me. I was too little, but I was real small. I didn't know what I was doing. I couldn't drink. I couldn't drink a third of a drink. I just took a couple of swallows, Phil. I was real young, but I know that, you know, I guess I was about 3, like that. Mm-hmm. But I never did forget it. So that's what she gave me. And I never stole nothing in my life. Not nothing. But Rob, he was my, Rob all the time. He put in more time with us than John Lee did. Rob would learn you to drive all these different things. About cars running, and he could learn you to drive. He could drive. He could drive good. Yeah, he could drive. And that's what he'd do. Rob acted more like that. Rob would whoop us. John Lee didn't fool with doing nothing to us if we do wrong, Rob would whoop us just like Paul would. Yeah.